Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, Boruto episode 225 preview. This episode right now is going to be coming off of the heels of, you already know how I feel about that last episode. So this episode right here can't necessarily be any much worse, especially because it's going to be Sarada versus ChoCho. It's always been setting up for this actually to be the biggest fight of this Chunin exam. As of right now, it doesn't necessarily seem like Boruto and Mitsuki are actually going to be participating in the actual Chunin exam. So in regards to Chunin exam battles go, Sarada seems like it's going to be the biggest fight. Sarada versus ChoCho, of course. Now obviously it doesn't necessarily mean that Mitsuki and Boruto won't be fighting in this particular arc, mainly because we do understand that they themselves may possibly even make an appearance in this particular episode and possibly even fight in this particular episode, mainly because they've been trailing people who actually did kidnap Amato. This right here is going to be a very big fight for specifically Sarada, mainly because she herself has the big goal of course, becoming the Hokage, and of course you can't necessarily jump from getting to Hokage, so the next big step on her actual journey is going to be becoming a Chunin. Now of course, she already missed her first opportunity. That first Chunin exam was actually interrupted by Momoshiki Otsutsuki. Sadly enough, Shikamaru was the only person that was actually promoted to Chunin in that particular arc. Now Sarada right now gets her turn. But again, this right here is going to be absolutely insane, man, because they have been playing with the heartstrings for a very long time with Sarada and ChoCho actually being best friends. Not only that, a couple of episodes ago, they even said that they were both going to become Chunin on this particular day. We now understand that right there is most likely not going to be true. I do have to put out a caveat out there. Of course, it's possible that it does come true. The reason why I do say it is possible is because they might actually deem ChoCho worthy enough to actually become a Chunin. And to be honest, I wouldn't necessarily think that right there would be completely out of the ordinary for the next episode if you guys did actually read the spoilers. But enough of me blabbering on. We definitely do have to get to the preview and see exactly what this actually looks like. To think we'll end up fighting each other. Inosuke Cho in a cut. I don't think it don't really look like they're actually giving ChoCho any words of inspiration. Now obviously they're still going to be supporting ChoCho, but as of right now it doesn't necessarily look like they're in all of the best spirits. If you guys do recall in the last episode when Iwabe was in his locker room, it was basically looking like they was preparing to actually play the Super Bowl or something like that. Everything looked absolutely fine. In this episode right here, just like in the last episode I was talking about Wasabi's corner, it's so quiet you can hear a rat pissing on Kai. Even if you are my opponent, I'm not going to be pulling any punches. So it seems like we are going to be getting some Sarada and ChoCho dialogue in the next episode. That right there seemed like it was definitely going to happen. But, you know, sometimes when you have big fights like this, when it's friends fighting against each other, you don't necessarily get to hear the dialogue of those two specific people who are actually in the actual battle beforehand, like before the actual fight. That dialogue right there is going to be absolutely amazing. So now we see Team Wasabi right here, because I'm a Chunin, because I'm going to become a Chunin. Sarada is pulling out the Sharingan off of the rip. I'm super happy for Sarada right now, mainly because, you know, obviously coming into a battle like this, a big thing is going to be, are they really going to be taking everything completely serious? Now, a lot of the Sarada diehards out there are probably going to assume that Sarada is not necessarily going to be taking it 100% serious against ChoCho, because obviously, if Sarada lands a Chidori on ChoCho, that might be the end for ChoCho, so I might actually agree with that. But as of right now, it seems like because of the Sharingan, she's taking it fairly seriously. And now we have Boruto and Mitsuki still looking at Amato. As I said before, right now it doesn't necessarily look like Boruto and Mitsuki are going to actually be fighting in the Chunin exam, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to leave this arc without fighting, period, mainly because of course they have to save my guy Amato, even though I think that Amato himself can actually fight. That right there is completely besides the point. You see, I made a promise with Inojin, so ChoCho made a promise with Inojin. Next time, Boruto, Naruto, Next Generation. You got the big why did I think Sasuke was going to be in this episode? I thought we was going to see the big blood, but now this looks like a flashback because the corners look very, very blurry. And of course, I think we kind of seen this already when Sasuke was actually talking to Sarada prior to the Chunin exam or prior to this final round of the Chunin exam. And of course, it would make sense for Sarada to actually be thinking back at Sasuke, because of course they did have that conversation and Sarada wants to make her father happy and proud and stuff like that. So of course I don't really think that Sasuke's going to be in this episode. I really wish so. One of the things that I definitely did talk about, especially when we did get to see Amato being kidnapped, is the fact that I didn't necessarily expect this arc to be very huge in regards to furthering a lot of plot. Now, obviously, we could all agree that this arc is canon 100%, but as far as people kidnapping Amato and things of that nature, I didn't necessarily think that that right there was going to happen. And because Amato is now involved, it wouldn't necessarily be too far-fetched to actually see Sasuke. But this right here specifically, this scene right here specifically, just seems like it's going to be a flashback. But if Sasuke is introduced in the next episode, I wouldn't be completely shocked. I've been preparing myself before coming here as well. Alright, yo, this really looks good. This really looks good. Here's the thing though, and this right here is just my personal opinion. From what we've seen from Sarada already, not only in the manga but also the anime, Sarada should easily win this battle. Now, of course, I don't necessarily want to cast any aspersions on ChoCho. I believe that ChoCho herself is definitely a very strong genin in her own right. But I do want to point out there is levels to this. There's levels to this. I'm sorry. What we do understand is that Sarada was a key part in actually defeating a Kata organization general. If you guys don't necessarily recall, when Amato found out that Boruto actually died, this man had to check his blood pressure for a second, mainly because he himself was completely stunned. And in fact, he thought that Sasuke was the person who actually did fight Boruto, not even Sarada and the other genin. So I personally believe there should be levels to this. Sarada should be way outclassing ChoCho, but of course, I don't necessarily expect it to be a complete rout if ChoCho gets some hits in on Sarada because of their friendship and stuff like that. And of course, they got to make it seem like a very good scene. I won't necessarily be too mad, but I personally believe, without spoiler information or anything, this right here is just my personal opinion, Sarada should be way above ChoCho. But again, let me know what you guys think about this particular episode in the comment section below. I think it's definitely going to be a very good one because this right here is essentially what the Boruto writers have actually been waiting for a very long time. This has to be a top tier episode because if it's not, I'm going to feel very disappointed. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's been your boy Bar B, and we out.
It's a knife.